Hi, UCCS softball. My name is Nikki and I'm a dietitian, and today we're going to be talking about how to fuel for your sport, softball. So before we get started, just a little bit about myself. I've been a dietitian for the last 4 years. I worked in a few clinical settings. You can see me flossing to the right. I used to do that for my cancer patients to make them laugh. My goal in working in nutrition, I always really wanted to work with athletes, so I moved out here a little over a year ago from New York to pursue a master's in sports nutrition. And I also am currently working at the Wellness Center on campus. So we're going to start off with the Athletes Plate today. And the Athletes Plate, it was developed at UCCS along with the Olympic Training Center. So it's this really cool tool that Olympic athletes use that you can also use yourself. And basically, it's a tool of how you can set up your meals based on your training load and volume. So it's broken down into an easy training day, a moderate training day, and a hard training day. So you can see on your easy training day, half your plate will be fruits and vegetables, and a quarter of your plate will be whole grains. And this would be whole wheat pastas, brown rice, whole wheat bread, and then a quarter of your plate will also be protein. Along with this is about 1 to 3 teaspoons of fat. And when you're choosing fat, try to choose healthier fats. So avocado, olive oil, nuts and seeds. So maybe you're going to use your fat to cook your vegetables, like saute your vegetables in olive oil with some garlic. So your moderate training day, this would maybe be like preseason, off season, a couple workouts a day. You see your grains increase to a third of the plate and your vegetables decrease to a third of the plate as well. And with an increase in your exercise, your carbohydrate needs increase, and we're going to get a little bit more into that in a little while. But you can also see with your whole grains, your fruits are more so incorporated in that area as opposed to with the vegetables. Your lean protein here will stay the same, and your fats will increase to 1 to 2 tablespoons. And your fats increase here because on a moderate training day, you're working a little bit harder, so you're burning a little more calories, and your fats are going to kind of help you meet the rest of those calories. And your hard training day, which this could also be maybe preseason, a couple workouts a day, but a bit more intense. Maybe you're doing more running, maybe you're lifting heavier, or maybe it's a doubleheader softball game or a game that you're expecting to be a little bit more challenging. Maybe you're going into extra innings. And you can see, again, your carbohydrates increase and you're gonna be eating half the plate as your grains. And here you're gonna choose more of your white pastas, white rice, as opposed to the whole grains to limit your any GI issues that may occur, because it's a little bit less fiber, a little bit less harsh on your stomach. Your vegetables will decrease to a quarter of your plate, again, to limit GI distress. And also here, you're going to want to choose cooked vegetables as opposed to raw vegetables. They're a little bit easier to digest and will give you less issues. Your fats go up again because you're burning more calories, so you need a little bit extra more. And you can see that your protein stays the same in all 3 plates. And so typically, protein intake of 20 to 30 grams is going to be what's beneficial for rebuilding your muscle. Anything more than this isn't really going to have any effect on muscle building. So as athletes, your protein needs are going to be a little bit higher, but you should try to consume it more frequently throughout the day in smaller servings of 20 to 30 grams. And also, if you are a vegan or vegetarian, keep in mind that plant-based proteins, you're going to need a little bit more of compared to animal proteins. So it'll be a little bit more than a quarter of the plate. And this is because plant-based proteins are less bioavailable. So while you're exercising, your body uses glucose for energy. And glucose comes from carbohydrates, which is why in the athlete's plate, as the intensity goes up, your carbohydrate intake increases. Glucose also gets stored in the liver and in your muscles. So during exercise, your body's breaking that down. the name of the storage form is glycogen. So during exercise, your body's breaking down glycogen into glucose so that you can use it. So your pre-exercise snack should contain carbohydrates in it. So a pre-workout meal, maybe 2 to 4 hours before you exercise, should include some complex carbohydrates. And what I mean when I say that is complex carbs, they take a bit longer for you to break down, which is why you want to have them a few hours before as opposed to right before. And some examples of this are a turkey and cheese sandwich on a whole grain bread, oatmeal with a couple tablespoons of nut butter, and grilled chicken with brown rice and broccoli. A snack maybe an hour before you exercise should include some simple carbohydrates. So simple carbs are, they're broken down pretty rapidly, so your body can use them pretty quickly after you eat them. And some examples of this would be some fruit, maybe a banana, apple, pear, dried fruit, a sports drink like a Gatorade or a Powerade, some fruit juice or some energy chews. And another option would be some applesauce. Oh, I think it's going. Okay. So with regards to hydration and exercise, it's always best if you can aim for a goal of being consistently hydrated throughout the day. But before exercise, make sure you're drinking at least 2 to 4 hours before. That way, you will be properly hydrated by the time your training or competition comes around. And a good rule of thumb with hydration is to check the color of your urine. You want it to be either a pale yellow or a clear. You can see the darker it is, the more dehydrated you likely are. So goals for during exercise are to maintain your hydration and to sustain the intensity of your performance. If you find that you're hungry during competition, you may not be eating enough throughout the day. So really keep an eye on what you are eating throughout the day. If you are someone that feels hungry frequently during practices or games. And if you are hungry, try to snack on foods that are going to benefit you and your performance. So maybe fruit, energy gels, or energy chews, or sports drinks. Also be mindful of how your body reacts to certain foods. Don't try new foods on game day because you don't want to end up feeling sick when you could have just eaten something that you're a little bit more comfortable with and know that you're gonna benefit from. Okay, so recovery nutrition. So some of the goals are going to be to replenish the carbohydrates the glycogen that you broke down through eating carbohydrates, rebuild muscle damage by consuming protein, rehydrate after, so drink fluids and electrolytes after training or competition. And a good rule of thumb you can use for rehydration is to drink about 20 ounces per pound you lose during exercise. So I'm not saying weigh yourself before and after every single time you exercise. But maybe you want to do this on a day you have practice when it's really, really hot out. That way on game day, when it's really hot out, you know how to rehydrate. And then maybe try again on a colder day that you have practice. And that way, when you have a game on a cold day, you'll know how to fuel yourself. And then also make it a point to get enough rest. Try to aim for 8 hours of sleep to help aid your recovery. Oh, okay. Seems annoying. So within 20 to 30 minutes for recovery, try to consume something that has carbohydrates, protein, and sip on fluids that contain electrolytes. Some snack examples for within 20 to 30 minutes are a glass of chocolate milk. Chocolate milk's a great option because it has the simple carbs in the milk and in the chocolate. It gives you protein and it also has naturally occurring electrolytes. Some other options you could try are a fruit smoothie made with yogurt, kefir, or milk, or maybe a sports drink with half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then within 2 to 4 hours, you should try to eat a well-balanced meal following the athlete's plate. And this is when you're going to include your complex carbs, lean proteins, fruits, and vegetables. And then over the next 24 to 48 hours, make sure that you're eating consistent, balanced meals. So some examples 2 to 4 hours after competition are quinoa with tofu and Brussels sprouts. And keep in mind with this, since it is plant-based, you're gonna need a little bit more than the 1/4 on the athlete's plate that animal protein would take up. Some other options are whole wheat pasta with meatballs and sauce with broccoli, or a grilled chicken sandwich on whole wheat bread with cheese and avocado and a side salad. So we did talk a little bit about this throughout, but just so you can see it a little better, nutrient timing. So you'll wake up in the morning, you'll eat some breakfast, maybe 2 to 4 hours later, you'll have your lunch. Try to plan your lunch for 2 to 4 hours before training or competition. And then an hour before training, you'll have your snack. And then within 20 to 30 minutes post-training, you'll have your recovery snack, and then dinner within 2 to 4 hours of finishing training. And then maybe before bed, you'll have a nighttime snack. A good option to have is some yogurt. So yogurt has the protein casein in it, and it takes a little bit longer to break down compared to the whey protein. So this means your body will just be utilizing it overnight while you're sleeping and eating and rebuilding your muscle. And also, if you find that you are frequently sore from exercise, you can add a glass of tart red cherry juice with your yogurt, and that should help with your soreness. So I know as student athletes, your days are like super jam-packed. I know it's hard. You're going from class to practice. Just make sure that you're always trying to plan ahead food-wise. Keep some money on you in case you're in a bind and you need to buy something, but also try to be prepared and keep snacks in your gear bag or your school bag. Maybe like some quick lunch ideas just to have on hand if you have nothing else handy. Try to keep nut butter packets, trail mix, energy bites. That's something you could use as more of a meal a few hours before you exercise. And then also try to keep some snack ideas like sports drinks, dried fruit, fresh fruit, energy chews, just so that you're setting yourself up for success. So also make sure to take advantage of the resources that are available to you. So over at the Wellness Center, since you guys are students, you get up to 3 free sessions with a dietitian, which is like awesome because once you get out into the real world, you can spend up to like $100 for an hour. So if you feel like you need individualized help, take advantage of that. Check out the Swell Farm subscription, which is pretty similar to HelloFresh, but it uses local foods from Colorado, and it'll also give you cooking demonstration videos on how to make certain things with different recipes to try. And also look out for the UCCS Sports Nutrition Instagram page with some helpful tips that you can use. So I do have an activity planned for you all, which is to make your own energy bites. And these are, it's really easy to make, and it's only 5 ingredients. You don't even have to bake anything, but you can have this as like a recovery snack, or like I said before, maybe have it on hand for you to eat 2 to 4 hours before your training. You wouldn't want to eat this right before training just because it has a bit of fat and fiber in it, so it may cause some GI distress. So make sure you're giving yourself a few hours if you're eating it anytime close to training. But the ingredients to make it is a 1.5 cups of oats, a 1/3 cup of honey or syrup, a 1/2 cup of nut butter. You can use whatever nut butter you like or whatever you have on hand, a 1/3 cup of dried cranberries, and a 1/3 cup of nuts. And you can also add in chocolate chips, which I would put probably a 1/3 cup of chocolate chips in. And they're super easy to make. You just have to wash your hands. Make sure you're always washing your hands before you do anything with food and before you eat anything as well. But you'll just mix the ingredients in a large bowl, and then you'll take a spoon to scoop out the mixture, and you'll roll it up into little balls like you can see in the middle. And if you're struggling to do this, you can wet your hands to make it a little bit easier to roll. But here is also a video, a cooking demonstration video of me making the energy bites that once you do have the ingredients and you want to make them at home, you can do so. And there's also a bunch of other cooking demonstrations available on this YouTube page for you. Okay, well, I hope you were able to learn something from this, and I hope you are able to make some positive changes towards your own diet. That way you can improve your performance.